Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing better than getting a fresh haircut and converting terminating decimals into fractions. Let's get into the video. Now, the very first thing I want to tell you is really what is a terminating decimal? Now, a terminating decimal is a decimal that has a limited number of digits after the decimal point. So eventually it's going to come to a stop or terminate, which is why they essentially call it terminating decimal. So let's go ahead, jump into number one, and let's turn this terminating decimal into a fraction. And the first one that we have is 0.6 or 6/10. And the easiest way to be successful at this is learning your place values. Now, if there's one number behind the decimal point, in this case there is, this is known as the tens place, or the first number after the decimal point. So when we go ahead and write this as a fraction, we're going to take whatever number that we see behind the decimal point, in this case 6, and that's going to be our numerator. And then since it ends in the tens place, that will be our denominator. So in this case, we have 6/10 as our final answer. Now, the only thing that kind of trips students up is you have to make sure that you check to see if you can simplify it. And in this case, 6/10 you can because they're both divisible by 2. They're even numbers. So if we do 6 divided by 2 and 10 divided by 2, we end up getting a simplified version of our original fraction to be 3/5 for the first one. So zero point 0.6 or 6/10 is the same thing as 3/5 as a fraction. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 2. This time around we have two numbers behind the decimal point. So it's not going to end at the tens place anymore, but the second number behind the decimal point is known as the hundredths place. Right, so we're going to follow kind of the same exact suit we did for the first one. We see the number 72 behind the decimal point, so that's going to be our numerator. And since the 2 ends in the hundredths place, we don't want to put 10 on the bottom anymore, but instead we do want to put 100. And then once again, we want to check to see if we can simplify 72 and 100, and we can because they are both divisible by 4 this time. So if we divide the top and bottom by 4, we are going to end up getting 18 as our numerator and 25 as our denominator. So 72 hundredths is the same thing as 18 25ths for number 2. And then number 3, we now have three numbers behind the decimal point, or going now to the thousandths place. So we're going to put 124 as our numerator, and 1,000 now because there's three numbers behind the decimal point, so 1,000. And then once again, we want to see if we can simplify 124 and 1,000, and we can because they're both, once again, divisible by 4. And when we do that, 124 divided by 4 is going to give us 31 in our numerator, and then in our denominator, we are going to get 250 for number 3. Now you're going to notice for numbers 4 and 5, they get a little bit more challenging because these are the first ones that have a number in front of the decimal point, but it really isn't any more challenging than the other ones. We just want to make sure that the number in front of the decimal point goes in front of the fraction at the very end. So for 5.77 or 5 and 77 hundredths, let's go ahead and just focus on the numbers behind the decimal point. Well, the sevens end in the hundredths place, so this is going to be 77 over 100. And since we have a 5 on the front side of the decimal point, or in front of it, that's simply going to go in front of our fraction, now making a mixed number. So 5 and 77 hundredths. And 77 and 100 can't be simplified at all. So this is our final answer as a mixed number of 5 and 77 hundredths. And then the very last one, I see a 14 in front of the decimal point, so that needs to go in front of our fraction to make a mixed number at the very end. But then I see a few zeros in this. This does not change the process of what we're doing. This 8 goes to the thousandths place, so we want to make sure that our fraction also has 1,000 in our denominator. So this is going to look like 8 in our numerator, because that's the number that I see behind the decimal point, 1,000 in our denominator. We have a 14 out front, now making a mixed number of 14 and 8 thousandths. And then we just want to check to see if we can simplify this. This time around we can, so let's divide the numerator and denominator by 8. And now we're going to end up getting 14 out front, which stays the same. 8 divided by 8 is 1. And then our denominator is going to be 125. And that's how you convert terminating decimals to fractions. I do have a few problems to try out on your own, so let's go ahead and give you the next 5. Now it's time for essentially the practice session. There's 5 questions here, so I want you to pause the video and see if you convert all of these terminating decimals into fractions, right? Feel free to look back at the previous 5 if you jotted them down as notes, right? We just want to see if you can now convert terminating decimals to fractions on your own. So go ahead, pause the video, try out these 5, and when you think you're ready to go, come back and play the video and see how you did. Right, for number 1, let's jump into it. We have 0.44 tenths, so it just goes to the tenths place. So now we have 4 as our numerator, 10 as our denominator, and then 4 and 10 are both divisible by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is going to give us 2 in our numerator, and 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5. So our final simplified fraction is 2/5. For number 2, we now end in the hundredths place, so this is going to be 35 over 100. Both of these numbers are divisible by 5, so 35 divided by 5 is going to give us 7 in our numerator, and 100 divided by 5 is going to give us 20, right? And those are 2 simplified fractions for numbers 1 and 2, so hopefully you're 2 for 2 right now. And now let's go ahead and jump into number 3. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 3. We now go to the thousandths place, so we're just going to have 674 over 1,000. And then if you look at the previous 3 questions that we've now worked through, there's no number in front of our fractions because everything in front of the decimal point has been a 0. So there's no point in writing a 0 out front, which is why we just have a fraction and not a mixed number. Now 674 and 1,000 are both divisible by 2. So we end up getting 337 in our numerator and 500 in our denominator for our final simplified answer for number 3. And now if we go ahead and take a look at number 4, this time around we should be getting a mixed number because there's 11 in front of the decimal point. So we have 11 out front, so let's jot that down first. We go to the thousandths place and I see the number 56, so that's going to go in our numerator, and 1,000 is going to be in our denominator. And once again, we just want to check to see if 56 and 1,000 can be simplified, and they can because they're both divisible by 8. So we're going to end up getting for our final answer 11 out front still. 56 divided by 8 is 7, and 1,000 divided by 8 is going to give us 125 in our denominator. And now the very last one, I see another mixed number, which is going to be 2 out front, 92, that goes to the hundredths place, so it's going to be 92 up top, 100 on the bottom. And once again, I notice that these are even numbers, but they're even more divisible because they can be divided by 4. That way it kind of skips us dividing by 2 twice. And we're going to end up getting the 2 out front still, and 92 divided by 4 gives us 23, and our denominator is going to be 25. So hopefully you went 5 for 5 in the practice session. If you did, feel free to let me know in the comments. Like the video if this video helped you out in converting terminating decimals into fractions. And again, please make sure to subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications when I post my next video. And once again, we'll see you in the next one with some more mathematics.